Hello everyone and welcome to the 6 out of 7 podcast. I clapped really loudly there, it's kind of scared me. We're episode 35. I'm joined not by Liam but by Ryan. Say hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Hello. I've never done that before. I've never made anyone say hello like that. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very glad to be here. I feel this has been in discussion for a while.
Yeah, we talked about doing this for ages.
Yeah, and I've been eagerly waiting in anticipation to do it, but here I am finally.
Finally. We just need to get Liam packed off to the US.
Yeah, we need to send him off. Like he's got to go. He's on the way out.
He's not. Liam's the. Don't say that. Gosh, that's a scary concept. I'm not going to do that. Liam, disregard that. He's having a lovely time in Florida. From what I've seen, he saw Joker. He texted me because we're going to talk about Joker because it's a film podcast. He texted me at 4 a.m, like because he obviously time is different across. And I was up because sometimes you're up at 4 a.m. We've talked about insomnia. We might talk about insomnia a little bit later on. He texted me saying it's fine. 8 out of 10.
It's fine.
8 out of 10 is not a fine. 8 out of 10 is like pretty strong.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think of Joker?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's again, like, as I was saying to you earlier, like it's a little bit difficult to talk about because it's very easy for those who don't like it, because obviously as I mentioned earlier, like the reviews have kind of polarized people on it. Some people love it, some people despise it and think it's a bit uncomfortable. They feel it's going to lead to an increase in violence, but then that goes on to the whole topic of media and violence and actually.
We're going to get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
we'll see. We're both quite.
I think it's hard to talk about this movie and not get into that topic.
Yeah.
But
do you reckon liking it is about saying that you like it is kind of an endorsement of the behaviour of the character on screen? Is that the fear? Is that the kind of, if you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to actually say that you thoroughly enjoyed the movie and the character. Without someone looking at you and going, well, I found this because there have been people that have said it's hard to relate to this character, and it is. And can a movie be enjoyable if you cannot relate to the main character? That I think that's a question that we should be asking. Yeah. But
I related entirely to him. I found him very. I saw so much that I was like, I get that.
You relate.
Okay, right.
You relate a lot to him.
That's not to suggest anything untoward, but I think there are bits of that, like that person and like feeling like an outsider in this world where everyone is connected and everyone feels like that you feeling sort of there's a wall there. There's something. Obviously, here's an extreme case. But there are times I think, like that's why Taxi Driver, this is a film being compared to Taxi Driver a lot. Oh, yeah, I think why that film was so popular and why it's so good is because everyone can kind of see a little bit, like not entirely, but they see a little bit of like, yeah, that's hard and I get that. And this is another like film that I think it forces you to kind of confront that fact that like we aren't looking after these people and sometimes we're those people. And if things were to go another way, if your mother happened to be an abusive person, or if you didn't have a father, or all these like if you were abused as a kid, or like there are all these things that he didn't have any support networks. Yeah. And because of all of that, there was those who weren't around him. It resulted in this horrible
Yeah,
person.
definitely. I think a lot of people are distracted from the bigger issues that the film is trying to confront, though. There was a great video I was watching by it was Jeremy Jans on YouTube, and he was discussing the fact that people are so wound up about the idea of this character, maybe being a catalyst for some people to go and commit violent acts and violent deeds. Whereas the films really want to talk about, again, cutting funding to mental health, which is a big thing, particularly in this country. Social issues, the wealth gap between the poor and the rich, and how big that is, and
kill the rich, man.
It just comes back to guillotining the bourgeoisie, doesn't it?
And I think that the fact that some people sort of connect to that idea more than others and see like he's got a point, right? Like I think doesn't mean that his actions are thoroughly worthy and we should applaud it, but he's got a point. There are things that motivate him that you can kind of see, and that perhaps is uncomfortable for people. Maybe I think it's the story. Like there's so many bits. There are so many bits that are like we can talk about perhaps. But the line where he talks about the real issue, the hardest thing about mental health is that you have to pretend like you don't. Like pretend like you don't. But something but it's written. It's kind of presented in this way that he's unraveling. But that actual statement is very cogent, and it's like quite a cogent thought. The film doesn't make probably the thing you say, it doesn't make enough effort to lean into that because it wants to like have him shooting people on a train and him like I love my favourite bit Ryan, my favourite bit by far and away. Spoilers for Joker.
Yes, we're on a spoiler part.
It's not really a spoiler a bit, but like the bad jokes, like the very bad jokes. The bit where he's outside the hospital and his mum's had a stroke and the police are interviewing him and they're talking about like, oh, like, is that a real thing, your condition? And he's like smoking, he's like annoyed, he's like, fuck off, leave me alone. And he goes, what do you think? Flicks cigarette, what do you think? And smacks into the door, and he's like, he's trying to open the door and it's like an exit door. I was like, I laughed, I had to control myself. I was like, fucking like, control. I thought it was so good, like it's such a perfectly... like toned shot. It was amazing. No,
I totally agree. Like the movie's filled with like those little moments that one, again, another spoiler, I guess we're just into general spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers for Joker. For Joker.
Is the part in his apartment where his old workmates come to visit him, the big guy and the midget, and he locks the door and then obviously proceeds to stab the living daylights out of the bigger guy, and then the small guy's in the corner terrified, and he's like, oh, don't worry, you were always nice to me, you can go. And then he goes and it's the fact that it's like he can't reach the lock.
You have to talk to,
and I never actually and I was like, is he going to kill him? Did he intend to do that, or will he actually let him go? And it's one of those moments that's just so like you know that the Joker would do something like that, and then he does let him go. He kisses him on the head and lets him go, and I was just like, that's so fucked up. It's great though. I love it.
That scene was amazing. I agree. And my only issue, right? Many issues, but one of the things that I noticed in that scene in particular was that he had like this white makeup on, and then he got like bloody. And the blood didn't really behave the way it was quite shiny and light. Did you notice that, or am I? It kind of was a bit distracting. It struck me as like they've done that in post. Right?
Yeah, but I think it's practical. I don't think it's CG, because CG blood is glaringly like, it is one of those things that CG has not quite. The technology has it's not nailed down, because it's a liquid. It's like any sort of CG liquid on screen. It's very, very obvious compared to if you were to have a CG background of that on a very high budget, it might not be as obvious. But liquid in the way it behaves in films, like it's very.
But your take was Joaquin was actually covered in something. They put something on. I'm gonna watch it like probably another 2 or 3 times before it goes.
Oh yeah.
So I will look back on that. But that's my only gripe. Like the rest of it is so. I mean, okay, that's probably not fair, but it's one of the like in terms of like what took me out of the film. That moment kind of made me like, oh, I'm watching a film.
Yeah. I want it, like, so obviously there's a lot of discussion about like this is possibly one of the greatest DC films to ever grace the earth.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite in that camp. Like I think the film's very good, but I don't quite think it's up there, because if we look, and this might be a very unpopular opinion,
right in if you disagree,
it's a hot take that the film, the actual story of the film, not how the narrative works with the character that Joaquin plays, but the actual story, it's very, very, it does follow quite an easy formula of A to B. With, you see at the start he has this affinity for Robert De Niro's character, Murray, the Murray Show, and then I could tell right by the end. Also, I feel it's probably the trailer's fault as well. The trailer surprisingly, I thought it was quite subtle, but it actually did give away quite a lot of pivotal moments.
Romance bit,
particularly when he goes, "Can you introduce me as Joker?"
That's a great line.
Yeah, fantastic line, but you knew it was coming, and it should have just been left for the film.
Yeah.
But anyway, before I get off track,
continue.
Need to get back on.
The formulaic nature of it.
I knew exactly what was going to happen, even if the trailer didn't show us him on the Murray Show. I knew he was going to be on the Murray Show in the end by some capacity. That's his goal. His dream is to be on that show and be appraised by someone he idolizes, who's also a stand-up.
I love in the early bit where the film is just sort of telling you how it's going to tell the story, where he is imagining he's on the show and he's like having this sort of father-son moment with Murray. I thought that was like they didn't, again, it was quite sparing the way they used those bits where like the reality of the film, what you're seeing, like, can you trust it all the time? That's like, no, sometimes this film is going to give you stuff that's just in his head, and then again, relationship.
And there's
that's
a great part we
reveal.
can talk about in a bit, I think.
Yeah. A moment.
Obviously, about the romance.
Romance, Zazie Beetz wasted in that film a little bit. Such a shame, but
yeah, sadly.
It did deal that moment was kind of I like that. I did that.
But yeah, it was just the story. The story is quite basic at its level.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's elevated by the dialogue and the way the script chooses to, or the way the characters within the film use the script, particularly obviously Joaquin.
Yeah, and there's a lot of improvisation apparently. I was reading about this. Like he sort of was doing a lot of stuff. Like the story was big, partly because he had to bring his body weight down to that. Like he had this sort of horrible shape to him, and like so he had to do that. He can only be that healthy for a while, like for a little while. So they were like writing the script as like during production. Which is amazing, right? To think about, like that, it's such a well-crafted story. Yeah. Well, and that's basic, right? I agree. I think it's basic. It had the sort of you had the showdown at the end, the big showdown at the end,
and it's not that I'm saying it's not effective. It is effective. It's just I think when we compare it to something, again, I'm going to go on a limb here. If you compare it to something like The Dark Knight, I still think The Dark Knight is a better story overall. But for a Joker origin story, like this film does what it needs to do, and it nails it on the head.
What do you reckon about the inclusion of Thomas Wayne and Bruce and all that? Do you
reckon? I loved the addition of Thomas Wayne because it wasn't just like, oh, remember Joker is part of this bigger universe where you've got to have Batman and anything related to Batman. That's just a necessity. It wasn't really like that, and I like the idea that Thomas Wayne is actually, if Thomas Wayne was a real person, it's not that he wouldn't be a philanthropist akin to Bill Gates, but I like this take that he thinks he's going to be he's this rich guy that's going to come and save all the poor,
all these clowns,
and it's like he's actually a dickhead. And I like the idea that it kind of conveys that Batman will grow up kind of idolizing his father and basically beating up these people that are on the poverty line and have been driven to desperation simply because of this misplaced sort of discourse that he has. And I also like the idea that obviously the story in most comic book interpretations of the Joker is that Batman created the Joker. I like the sort of spin on that Joker sort of passively created Batman.
His saying I'm not a political person, I'm not a political thing, was like, I think that was a headline. It headlined and put at the top, front loaded it, when really I think it could have been a really cool film if it lent into that idea, and that Arthur Fleck actually wasn't just this mad person. He kind of thought, I want to be seen, but I want to change the society that I'm in. It sort of straddled that a bit awkwardly, I think, and
I think
it's an issue for me.
I think it wants to touch on really that kind of deeper theme and deeper themes, and it kind of just it does sort of skirt it sometimes instead of actually addressing it, which is again one of the reasons why I think the Nolan films overall are I know obviously they're a trilogy and this is a one-off film, but in terms of how they convey not only a really kick-ass comic book hero in film, but they also deliver social messages at the same time really quite well. But I think considering we're getting this from Todd Phillips as well, really surprised me.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the looking at the stuff he's done and thinking, wow, you had this in you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was, unfortunately, he was a bit of an idiot, and in an interview recently, he was asked why has he moved from comedy to such a cynical style of filmmaking, and he said, well, woke culture has killed comedy, and I don't think that's I think that's a bit of a stupid statement.
It's an uneasy thing to say because then there's put that, for me, when you said that, that's made, so now I'm looking at this film and it is that, if that is the mentality behind the person creating it, you think there are bits of it that are difficult now. There are bits of it that are more difficult than they were a second ago. But anyway, I'm watching it and overall I love it. It's one of the best things I've seen this year. By far and away.
It's definitely in my top 5.
Well, now we talked for about 20 minutes about that. That was supposed to be a brief one. What are we doing now? I guess
dealer's choice.
We could do dealer's choice. We could do. What could we do? I saw another film this week or the week before. This is like we're coming out slightly later. I'm sorry.
What film?
I saw The Farewell.
Never had the chance to see it, unfortunately.
No, it'll come back maybe. I'm not sure. We'll grab it on DVD or probably hit the internet.
Maybe in GFT or even a cinema at my uni.
I really like A24 now. I think
A24 Studios is really good.
I'm gonna now. I think now they're just. I'm gonna keep an eye on them because everything I've seen from them so far has been amazing, and I like the projects that they're supporting.
There was actually I've already seen like a DVD collection in HMV that says the A24 collection, so it just goes to show that how
I wish I researched them and had more to bring to the podcast about them.
No, I mean that's definitely a topic you could do for another day. But A24 are definitely a studio to keep an eye on.
I'd recommend The Farewell, not only because it's them, but because it's a great story, very cool story, and like comparing it to Joker, they're not in the same kind of universe, not in the same reality, not in the same stratosphere. But I enjoyed them both. I got a little bit emotional in it, and it's nice sometimes to get a little bit emotional.
It's absolutely fine.
It's all right.
That's
the person I was with, right? The person I was with leant over to me, and she said, "It's okay if you cry, you know." And I immediately was like, I'm not gonna cry. What are you talking about? Being given permission. It's weird, isn't it? Some people feel the need. Some people feel the need to be like, you know, it's okay, but I'd have preferred that not to have happened, Ryan. Do you ever get that? Do you ever get that? You and Neil, ever?
No, I mean, yeah, I suppose a little bit, yeah. I mean, but I won't outright be told. He will be blubbering away.
Really? Is he a crier?
He's a crier. And then I'll be kind of holding it in.
Yeah.
And then it's just the last time I cried at the cinema, and I'm not ashamed to say this, it was actually Avengers Endgame. And I know there have been deeper films, thoroughly character driven, deep meaningful
we like
films.
Endgame on this podcast. We like Endgame a lot.
Good. That driven me to tears.
So was it Tony Stark? Or?
It was the Tony Stark scene. It was just something about that just hit me. And I was in a row of it was me and several of my friends. And all along the row, I was just seen they were all starting, and I was like, I can't hold it in. It was just gone.
Floods of tears in the dark.
Yeah, tears were smudging my 3D specs. It was awful. Absolutely
3D
awful.
specs. Yeah, that's an issue. That is an issue. That's gonna affect your viewing experience.
Yeah,
that's perhaps a market. Perhaps you've made the $1 million idea, like glasses that don't steam
waterproof glasses,
waterproof, or something that prepares or is in some way ready for tears. Teary 3D films, there are not many of them out there. And I think that's great. It's a testament, isn't it, that these, after they've created this enormous story, we talk back to Marvel, but DC, that they've had their turn. This enormous 10-year story, and you can be invested for a long time. How old were you when you first watched Iron Man?
I got into it not right away. The first Marvel film that I watched was actually Avengers, the first Avengers in the cinema. It was my mum and
it's 20. I'm not very
that was 2012 that came out. It was my mum, her partner, and a couple of their friends, and then they asked if I wanted to go because I wasn't doing anything that night, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I've never seen any of these superheroes. I know of them, kind of.
You
but
didn't read any comics?
Yeah, I didn't read any comics of that. And I went along to watch it, and I just thought this is the most badass thing I have seen in recent times.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
And then I went back and started rewatching. So 2012, I would have been 18 at that point.
Right, so that's late to the game. I was about 14. I must have been when the first Iron Man came out. I saw it in the cinema. Stay to the end. There was a rumor that you stay to the end, there'll be Marvel put something at the end. And the Thor thing, I was like, fuck Thor. And I started reading Thor in preparation for this movie.
That's mental. Yeah, that's absolutely mental.
I like it was kind of in the before 2008. It's not before the internet, but before there was this massive. I guess before the Marvel
before
fandom,
the boom of social media.
Yeah, before the Marvel fandom existed, and there was just it was an accepted thing. It was something that a mate of mine had heard. That if you stay to the end, there's something to watch. There's something a little bit, a little Easter egg kind of thing. I think it was described as an Easter egg. I don't know what they're called. It's the post-credit scenes. I think it's
the post-credit.
But it was an Easter. There's an Easter egg at the end, and we all sat there, and we were people left, and people had to come back. It was really interesting. And so to be so sort of emotionally connected to that person, I think it's fine. It's strange, isn't it, that it is a man in a metal suit on a fighting
on a killing spree, just
it's very strange that is what incites that reaction or excites that reaction in you. But it's nice. I think that's nice. That's a good.
I think it's just testament to Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, because again, I know there's a whole debate of whether kind of the Marvel films in particular are cinema, if they're not cinema. Scorsese recently came out and said they're not cinema, and
what does he mean they're not cinema? I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know. I mean, I've been known to call them the fast food of cinema, and I don't. It's not that I don't stand by that statement. I do to a degree, because although I don't deny they're made with a lot of passion and love. They are turned out in a corporate manner, and they've all got there's so much, and it's kind of.
Oh man, that's a buzz. I need to pause and recollect.
Yeah, we will be back.
We'll be back. Oh, there we are. I pressed the wrong button. I misclicked with you a lot, actually. We were texting about doing this. And,
and
I angry reacted
to the fact that I was going to come and do this today. So I was like, well, you know what? That's fine. I don't need to.
I like the thumb up reaction. I think that's it's a good one.
Are you not aware that the thumb up reaction is like construed as quite passive aggressive?
No, it's just an affirmative.
You and your blissful ignorance, Callum. This is.
Is it passive aggressive?
It is.
Right in if it's passive aggressive. I think it's just it's like a received. It's like I get it. I thumbs up all the time.
Give us your thoughts on this matter. This is a hot topic.
Perhaps it's a generational thing. Perhaps I'm getting old. Perhaps it's just age. I like it. I like the thumbs up. Do you like the thumbs up? Do you like the sending the thumb, like on Messenger, where you can send it?
I'll send it, but I always send it if I'm kind of disregarding something.
Okay. You'd rather. What would you have preferred I'd done there?
Just a message.
Just some words.
You're a wordsmith. You're a student of the arts in English.
Yeah.
So
I suppose.
Use your words.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I will do that. I will tailor that texting experience for you. For everyone else, you're still going to get thumbs, because I like. It's good. I'm doing a thumbs up right now. I feel
privileged right now.
Have a thumb.
That's not as passive aggressive because it's in person.
That's how I mean it though. That's how when someone says
online, online where you can't express tone. That's
but that's how I mean it. I don't communicate nuanced emotions on the internet. I just text. I've been told many times that I text funny. So sorry. Anyway, that might be cut. That's a bit of peculiar tangent. Where were we before the postman arrived? Do you remember?
That's a good question.
There's a lot of
Marvel and
critical commode cinema. Yeah. So can you return to that? So like, what would you define as cinema as compared to other films? What does that mean?
Not me personally. I mean, the Marvel films are films. Whether people
it's in a cinema. Surely it's cinema.
Yeah, it's every film that comes out is. It's a film in its own right, and therefore it is cinema. Because
here the thing is, Ryan is I didn't mention this. Ryan studies film. Ryan is a student of film. A student of film. So I've got an expert in. Finally, 35 episodes in, we've got some bloody knowledge.
I'm a film student, don't you know? I know.
You do, yeah. Final year, he's taken some time out of his busy study schedule. You study in the West End, which is sort of convenient, but. I'm glad you've taken the time to talk to us about film because
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean when you say that.
Films are what I love, So
you've got your own podcast as well. These are things I should have done at the start. Liam does all this. Liam does all this stuff at the start, and I'm like, 25 minutes in, I should talk about my guest.
So Liam is the presenter. You're winging it today.
I've not yet figured it out. I've got to do one next week as well. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Anyway, you're a student. Where do you study? How are you finding your degree? What do you reckon?
I study at University of Stirling.
Yeah.
As Callum said, I'm in my 4th year. I'm doing a joint degree in film and media and English.
It's a lot.
It is. And you asked where I study?
No, you've already said where you studied. I'm asking generally about it. So how are you finding it? What do you reckon? Would you recommend it?
Right. No, I wouldn't recommend it.
You wouldn't recommend it?
No, but I would.
You're talking to me about it at work, about how it's a very practical course. Like it's a lot of learning how to do stuff, hands on.
So there's two well-known film courses at least available in Scotland. There's University of Stirling and then there's Glasgow. Mm-hmm. Glasgow's 4-year course is nothing but film theory. You won't get the practical experience, and it's not that you can't, because a lot of people make films in their own time. They don't actually need the uni equipment to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just that if you want to go and practically work in the industry, you really need that practical experience behind you. Mm-hmm. And if you want to do film studies or television studies academically, then Glasgow's absolutely fine for that.
Yeah, we're not doing any judgment here. We're just talking.
No, I don't judge it. My mate done it, and he absolutely loved the course. And now he works he works teaching film at uni.
Wow, there you go. There's a success story there. I have not made much of a success out of my degrees, so we won't go into that.
Your time's coming.
My time is my time is ripe. I'm ripe like an orange. Like an orange? The fuck? Alright, go on about the practical stuff. So you're like, because your final year, you've got gradings, coursework, documentaries, right? You're handling documentaries or pictures.
Currently, me and my group have 2 simultaneous television productions going on. One is a dating/cooking show. Which we're still working on the concept of, which has to be submitted to our lecturer today.
Oh, this is bad. You've scared me there. I'm excited about that. Is the group working on it now, and you're just the one taking time out?
Yeah, they all stay in Stirling, so I hope that they're. I really
group work
really
is like that, innit? Group work is like that.
My role in it is I'm going to be the script writer for the factual based stuff like dating/cooking shows or anything of the sort don't really need a script as such, but it's still, there are always going to be scripted parts. So I've taken on that role, and then during the actual practical production, I'm going to be sound op in that production, which wasn't the best choice by any means, because sound is not my strong point at all.
Really?
I am terrible at sound editing. I am terrible.
So am I.
Anything to do with sound, I'm really not good at. But I can do it. Like someone had to take the job,
and you're going to learn and improve.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to learn. I want to do an area that I'm weakest in, because I would love to be camera op, because I love operating the camera. I would love to be director, because I love doing directing.
And those are the choice positions that are kind of job.
Yeah, and so we all agreed on our roles. The second we all agreed.
Complete consensus.
We'll say we agreed. Yeah.
Hope none of them listen. They don't. No one listens. No one's listening.
The second production is based on a TV show that's currently on Channel 4.
Oh yeah.
So we have to create the first 10 minutes of one episode. It usually runs for 40 minutes.
What's the episode? What's the show?
Love It or List It, it's called.
Oh, I don't know it. Sorry. What's it about?
So essentially, you would have a couple, and one person would love it and one person would list it, and essentially that means that one person wants to stay in the current house and one person wants to move.
Oh.
So what happens is that the presenters come in, one of them gets a budget and kind of does up the current house to try and convince the person that wants to move to stay.
Yeah.
And also usually the house has some problems in some form or other. So they do it up in a way that maybe you knock down a wall and you open up a space, or whatever the couple want to do with it. And then the other presenter picks 3 houses and
better houses.
Yeah, and kind of convinces the person that wants to stay to leave. So it's a kind of competition between the two.
Sounds like great tactile. I'm gonna cut all that noise. Sounds like a really good way of causing breakups.
Yeah, I mean, the guys who came in from the actual production company that made it said
they were actually in. They came to the uni.
Not the presenters, but 2 of them that work for the production company that make the show.
Oh right.
Are based in Glasgow. It's based in Glasgow, so they come in every few weeks and do a masterclass with us.
That's really interesting.
And they essentially say that the more of a dilemma that the couple have, that the further they're pushed to perhaps breaking up, the better it is, because you've got a real dilemma on your hands, and and the crew want to go in and obviously help them out, and
do they?
Well, yeah, no, they do. They
want to make a good show, surely. They don't want to. They're not there to. They're not.
They're there to make a good show, but they're there to also help them out at the same time.
Right, and if you agree, right, and if you disagree, I feel like I'm much more cynical than.
I hope none of them listen to this, because I don't know how much I can actually
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Text me afterwards about when you figure that out and we can move that. Which project do you prefer, the 10-minute thing or the dating thing? Now that is
they are both causing me a lot of stress, because we've got to cast them, so we have to find people for both of them.
Right, so we want to be in the show.
Yeah, we're desperate for people. We're all right. I'm going to post some ads today.
Okay. So paid or unpaid?
It's unpaid. We're students. We can't
afford
we can't afford.
The uni doesn't give you any money to attract anything, do anything. Because making a 10-minute thing about a show that knocks down walls sounds like, what are you going to write? What's the 10 minutes going to be?
Well, the first 10 minutes of the show is kind of the introductory stuff. It's the presenters, it's the dilemma, it's the couple.
And you have to create that.
And it's the presenters meeting the couple, and you find out who wants to love it, who wants to list it, and, you know, a tour of the house and that. And how's your 10 minutes gone? Like, I mean, you know, look how fast we've gone through 31 minutes just by talking. So
Liam's not going to like that because I'm going to cut that. The time will be inaccurate. But hi, Liam. Just thought I'd say hello. Carry on.
So, yeah, we need at least, we're trying to find 6 people for our dating/cooking show promo. Yeah. And then we've obviously got to find a location to shoot it in. Yeah. And then for the Love It Illicit one, we need to find a couple. Yeah. That are wanting to move. Well, one at least wants to move. Right.
You couldn't invent that.
It's better to have, because authenticity. If you're having a couple kind of act,
you'd invent an incredible story.
And then we need to find 2 presenters as well.
I'm stressed, man. I'm stressed. Hearing about all you uni people talking funny just gives me like sort of secondhand stress. I don't need it.
Yeah, it's not fun at all. And then on top of this, I've got obviously an English essay due very soon as well.
Well, let's talk about the Joker or something. I don't know. Let's talk about something else.
I don't mind talking about it.
You study in the West End, which I find like nice. I think that's cool, specific places to do that.
My boyfriend finds it quite weird because he's like, you stay in Motherwell and you study in Stirling, why do you go to the West End to...
Why not?
And it's like, because it's peaceful, it's out the way. I like being out the way. I've always been one of those people who like to keep themselves to themselves for the most part.
Having compartmentalised spaces to do things.
Yeah, being away from home for a bit, and it's just somewhere different, it's a different location, and you just, you know, it's enjoyable.
This is what we were saying about Arthur Fleck, man. If Arthur Fleck had like a park or like a kind of Gotham nice little bit where he could sit and just hang out, I think the film would have had a much happier conclusion.
Yeah, it would have ended well.
Better.
It would have ended better from everyone. You know, no one would have died. No one would have needed to be shot.
We've had some lovely scenery.
Some beautiful scenery. That's another thing. The cinematography I forgot to mention in that film was stunning.
Was really good. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and the way it delivered those jokes, I fucking loved the like physical comedy. Him watching, him coming into the cinema and watching Modern Times. I loved it. I really loved the way his face lit up watching this character, watching a character, someone be a character, watching a character who they clearly admire. It was so. I'm so glad.
It was a very, very nice piece.
And him dressed up as the usher. It was just like all of it was so sad and funny, and like you were feeling all this stuff all at once. It was really, really cool. Very, very cool. I loved it a lot. We've gone back to Joker, but the West End's also good.
No, it is. You know, it's a good place to study, and because the West End has so many students in it, you usually find yourself in a place that's just with other people, kind of also just working
on the same vibe,
and it's there's something nice about that. Yeah. There's something just nice about, you know, you're all just doing, you know, your courses, your work, and it's just you're in a place where it's just kind of, I don't know, like it's enjoyable.
I'm trying to find some way to round or wrap, because we on the way down we were talking, and this is the thing, I feel like I just need to be in silence, because everything could be made into capital C, the C word, the bloody C word. It could be content. It all could be content. So we talked about Commode, right? So you made a comparison between Glasgow and Stirling in that you've got very practical course, you're doing a lot of hands-on, learning stuff on the go. Glasgow, essays, writing, analysis, being able to chew up a film and present present cogent thoughts on it. Commode, I think, in terms of his side, he would be a Glasgow student, right? That's his thing. Yeah. You give him a camera, he wouldn't really be able to make a film. The videos he puts on YouTube. Commode, I mean, I'm not coming for you or nothing, but they're not all that. I feel like we're, you know, on a par on our YouTube. Our YouTube game is not, you know, not too distant. He needs, you know, do you not think it's hard to appreciate someone when they criticize something they are clearly not doing, they're not capable of doing? What do you reckon? Have I thrown a weird thought out? Probably.
Yeah. What do you mean by like?
So you're the way you approach film and enjoy film is from with an angle of, this is how someone's making it. There are people behind it. Commode, I don't think appreciates films in that way in my answer. I don't listen to him a lot. But I'm talking with an incomplete knowledge. So he's approaching it purely from like, this is something that I can, like, it's for my delectation. I'm to eat it, I'm to consume it, I'm to produce my own thoughts on it without any sort of idea that there are human beings working on it.
Yeah, actual people putting
and that I couldn't do that. Like I could not do what these people are doing. There's an enormous team. So when this is a film like Smashy Bashy, do your accent. No, I want me to do your accent.
No.
He was doing his accent earlier. He was doing a spot on Commode accent. It was amazing. I'll have to get into it. I won't. But is that not uncomfortable for you? Because you're a fan of Commode, is the thing.
I do so film criticism, because I think we all do it. We're all film critics in our own way.
Everybody's a bloody cricket.
Everyone, exactly. And Kermode obviously does it professionally and for a living. The reason I enjoy his reviews, because again, as someone who appreciates film, the filmmaking behind it, the artistry, the people who put their hearts,
the man hours, you know,
the hearts and souls and endless fucking hours of work into film and television is, and then to have someone just come along and do a 7-minute radio show and go, that was crap because of this or that, or here's how I took away from this perhaps political angle and all the rest of it. It's just he sticks to his opinions, but he never tries to, for me, out of every film critic I know, he doesn't try to go, this film's terrible simply because it is an action film. He looks at a film in and of itself. Right. So he understands that like John Wick's an action film, but for an action film, it nails that genre very well really because of X, Y, and Z.
We love
he
that
was
on this podcast.
Surprisingly, well, other critics panned or like sort of said that Del Toro's Pacific Rim, for example, which is a movie that I love.
Liam hates it. I love it.
I love it because, again, like I am a big Del Toro fan, and watching him behind the scenes, he's like a big kid on set.
Yeah.
Just they built these massive practical sets to be the interior of the Jaegers and stuff, and it's just him. He's just in heaven. He's in his element, and all the actors around him love that because and they get inspired by it. And that's the beauty of filmmaking, because it is a collaborative process. Yeah. And seeing all these people work together on stuff that they love, and he absolutely loved it because it again, like, he hates Transformers, which is again another big robot film, but he's like, this is a big robot film where love, effort, and actual care has gone into it, and a clear love for the genre in which it's derived from, which is sort of that anime manga. Is very apparent.
That's actually an interesting point, because Liam is not a fan of anime or manga, so that's maybe he sensed that in it as well.
I mean, neither am I.
Really?
I'm not a big fan. I like my monster movies, which is why I kind of like I'm drawn to it. But not only that, it's just a kick-ass film. Like it's just so well made.
Brain off. Just watch shit. The
sound design. The you feel the weight. That's the thing that I think not a lot of people think of. It's like you never think of like weight in films.
They have mass.
They have mass. They're tangible almost. Whereas in Transformers, the robots feel weightless because they're getting thrown all over the place, and it's just there's not this heavy.
But they're made of space metal. Have you ever thought about that? No,
I haven't. You know what? You've proven me wrong. I'm sure Michael Bay thought of that, and that was like,
are made of space metal.
This is why they're so lightweight, because it's space metal.
It's space metal.
My dude.
There you go. Glasses on.
Wow.
I think we've kind of made a podcast here. We're flying through the 40-minute mark, and I'm very surprised at that, because we're both quite tired. We both don't sleep. Didn't have a great night either.
But sometimes sleep deprivation can help.
So I'm gonna do what Liam would want me to do right now, and go, so what are you looking to sell, promote? Where can we find you on the internet? Do you want to be found on the internet? If you don't want to be found on the internet, I'll cut this.
No, I'm not really.
You don't want to be found on the internet?
No.
So that's not going in. But great, it's been lovely to have you.
It's been great to be here. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. So
you're a big Star Wars fan. We haven't touched Star Wars yet. We're going to touch Star Wars later towards the end of the year, and I think
that will be an interesting topic.
That will be an interesting topic. I think we might get like a round table kind of thing, but I haven't consulted Liam on this. Anyway, Ryan will be back. Write in, everyone, if you've got thoughts on that. Commode, love him or hate him. He's like Marmite. That's what I think. Anyway, that's a long gap, and not really a thought, not a cogent thought. So next week I'm gonna have Jake on. This is the sort of the house. This, you know, you've done a podcast. You know this. Do you want people to look at your podcast?
No, this was a podcast that we done ages ago. It's no longer going.
It's no longer found.
No. So the podcast, you can still find it on YouTube.
How could you find it? What's it called?
You have to search for the Gub.
The Gub, the
So
GUB.
GUB, yeah.
GUB. I'll link it in the description because I link things in the description. That's what I do. That's my thing.
Go for it.
That's my bag. Right. Just go look at the Gub if you want. It might be might be nice. Might be nice to look at it. Have you looked at it back since?
I've not looked at it in a long time, but you know what? I could show you after this actually.
Maybe, unless I'm stressed about you doing work, so like I might want to.
Oh no! I'm not stressed about me doing work, so therefore you shouldn't be stressing.
Okay, great. Jake's on next week. I think we're doing a DVD thing. I'm not really sure. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the other side of the week. Goodbye.
Bye.